Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have some pretty big drama going on now when it comes to Xbox, where it kind of seems like a lot of folks right now are believing that Xbox is pretty much on its last legs. Now, obviously, when it comes to like a really big and kind of crazy statement like that one, it's obviously not true because, Microsoft has that big budget to go and support Xbox, and Xbox obviously is still making money, has a lot of games in the works, hopefully, and well, obviously it's not going to be ending off of just one bad game, or at least a few bad games. Although the public reception and as well as also just the general vibe for Xbox has been really off. And now we're seeing a lot more people putting a lot more attention on, number one, the upcoming Xbox convention, nice little, big showcase and all the games and everything else in between, but as well also on the next big AAA game, Starfield. And a lot of folks are kind of putting a lot more pressure on this, where if I was a Starfield dev, unless I knew this game was going phenomenal already, I'd probably be very scared for the future of my job. So, number one, always quick reminder, if you guys ever see devs, never be mean to them or rude to them. But of course, as well, it is kind of true. We're going to be doing a little bit of a discussion on over here on the future of Xbox, where it might actually be a lot more trouble than we might be expecting. So make sure you guys are subscribed, notifications on. We'll be after we be playing some Outlast Trials down below on the Twitch. If you guys are bored, swing on by, link down below, or follow the Twitter and all that good stuff. Leave a like and your thoughts and comments on the big old PlayStation Xbox discussion, and let's go and dive on in. So, there's been two really big things that have been floating around when it comes to, well, everything. Number one is on the big prioritization on Starfield. We're now seeing articles, we're seeing people pushing, and as well are a little bit on the scareder side when it comes to Xbox and Xbox Game Pass, because Starfield is going to be a big game. No matter what, even if the game is horrible and flops, people will be playing it, people are excited for it, and at the end of the day, even if it does flop, people are going to probably love it. As well, people also might absolutely hate it. If you guys do remember a lot of games like Skyrim or Fallout games, they usually do have a really good reception, especially for hardcore RPG fans, because typically that genre is a little bit more on the lower, utilized side, and we've always had a lot of really big issues, groundbreaking issues, glitches and bugs, and kind of a meme where Bethesda games are meant to, pretty much be broken. But that's a big thing to kind of know, is that Xbox Game Pass can't only be relying right now on Starfield, and until we can actually see a lot more of these upcoming games, or even like a Forza release date, Game Pass is actually looking a little bit on the, sloppier side. So Xbox Game Pass doesn't currently have a very packed year, and the service can't just rely on Bethesda Starfield to carry it alone. And I would actually agree on this first and foremost. Number one, because it's going to be a good game, and I'm sure they're going to have a huge, massive spike in Game Pass subscribers with it for people checking out Starfield, but at the end of the day, it can't only be Starfield. It can't only be this one game, because whenever people beat the game or get bored of the game, or maybe it's not even like their cup of tea for RPGs, it's not going to matter at the end of the day. So, Game Pass always says is one of the best deals in gaming. There's no denying that Xbox Game Pass has lost its luster a little bit over the last few months. I think a good example, too, is Redfall, where even I kept my subscription for Redfall to check it out, and I am now currently not subscribed to Game Pass because, Redfall was a good solid maybe 3 hours of my time, and the only reason why I kept on playing it was, number one, because I was streaming, and number two, I felt like I gotta get at least my $10 worth to check it out at least a little bit before I go and completely dog on the game. And ever since the game's been out for more than 2 days, I don't think I've heard a single person mention it besides the go and saying how disastrous the actual launch itself. So right now we have nothing else lined up, although there could be more stuff when it comes to Xbox as a whole, because they do have their conference coming soon. But right now a lot of people just have their eyes on Starfield. Like the brand new Forza game, it'll be a little bit more on the niche side because it is more of like a proper racer rather than a Horizon. And people are kind of saying that Xbox needs more than just Starfield this year. Bethesda Starfield has insurmountable pressure on its shoulders right now. Not only does Starfield need to make up for Bethesda's last few failures, as well with, Fallout 76, although it has gotten better over time, and as well, same thing with Redfall being just kind of mediocre, Hi-Fi Rush apparently not doing as well, although I thought that game was great, and of course, not as much kind of hype when it comes to Forza, and even Minecraft. The Minecraft game sucked. I'll just be honest with you guys, it was awful. And people are now scared on the future for Xbox, because they, number one, might be having issues still with Call of Duty that's not fully locked in, that it's a bad, fully out, but it's still skeptical, have to still fight for it. But as well, everything else is kind of on the sketchier side. And fans that might hopefully keep on hoping that Starfield is going to be one of the best games they've ever had a chance to see, with customization and RPGs and explorable content and everything else too when it comes to this one. But folks are kind of scared because Starfield is the only big name release game for Xbox Game Pass to offer this year. at least for the ones that have been confirmed. We might see some closet releases, more holiday releases, depending on this Xbox showcase in the next few weeks. So Starfield is almost guaranteed to bring in a brand new people on Game Pass. I myself will re-up my Game Pass subscription for Starfield, especially 100%. But a lot of folks are saying, like, what happens afterwards? Like, what happens after that point? Like, even maybe people who may have even had it right now onwards, they might go cancel because they realize there's nothing really big in the works, especially with the Minecraft, Redfall, and all these other various games just not being as well. At the same time, they are still getting new games and indie games, etc. But one of the bigger issues is that we just haven't really seen too much. Like, there hasn't been a lot of big games. Like FIFA, 23, sure, but that was added on EA Play already. And on top of that, too, there's only been a few different indie games, which are also nice, too. We're not anti-indies here for sure. But it just kind of goes to show that there hasn't been too many big games at all. Now, some folks might be saying it might have been a big call on this one because maybe they don't want to compete with Zelda and other various games. But right now, a lot of folks are kind of saying, like, hey, we need to, like, see more stuff. And once again, we're seeing a lot more extra effort when it comes to Starfield. Saying that Starfield is literally going to be this next, like, this is going to be like the set. It's going to be the game that people look at to see if Xbox even still has a chance on this console generation. Because if Starfield and all the other various things like Halo all flop, guess what? Xbox is probably going to just be known as like the mediocre console that, yeah, Game Pass is cool, I guess. But until something groundbreaking comes out, it's going to be just almost known as a joke. Like, right now, Xbox has not had any major big games that people were in love with. Some of them are good, don't get me wrong. But in terms of like a God of War or a Spider-Man or even Horizon for some folks, a lot of that stuff is like a next level gaming where people are actually generally impressed and enjoyed the game and excited for it. Or as well, like we've seen even things like Breath of the Wild 2, good old, Tears of the Kingdom. And people are excited for that as well. And people are saying like that might be Game of the Year. So then Starfield has to really go and work really hard to make sure these games work, or else, well, everyone's going to think it's bad. So basically say this is like probably one of the more important games out there because they spent like $10 billion on Bethesda, and so far they haven't had anything to show with it. And as well as we just kind of covered, a lot of folks out there are basically just worried about Game Pass, may not want to keep their Game Pass subscriptions, or might even be canceling it over time might happen. Because, I mean, I agree with this take. Microsoft has enough money. My Xbox is going to be fine. Xbox will be here 10 years from now, and that's it. Like, it's just a big company. They still make money. It's still profitable. They have Microsoft. And even then, it's still making money for people buying, like, using PCs and staying on Windows Store promotions, collecting data. I don't know, whatever it might be. Like, they're still going to be making money regardless. But in terms of, like, the overall vibe and community sentiment and gaming as a whole, it's a very big thing. And people are still saying that, like, Starfield is going to be, like, one of the biggest games out there. And if it flops, then things are not going to be good. Because they could just go completely flop this year. I mean, just in general. Like, because I mean, like, what else can kind of go and redeem it? Maybe a Gears? Like, the last Gears wasn't that bad, but it wasn't really that good. And Halo Infinite, which was okay, but once again, it wasn't great. Like, I still thought the campaign was horrible. The multiplayer was okay. I didn't mind it. Like, I'm not going to harp on it too bad. But at the same time, people just don't play it. There's no real reason to play it, and I was kind of expecting a lot more. And once again, like, they're trying to go and spend all this money on these studios, and if these studios keep on dropping the ball, think like Redfall, there's nothing really there for the long-term side. And a big thing to note is that, well, look at this. Redfall was one of the worst AAA games in recent memory. I would not even assume Redfall was even close to a AAA game, although it kind of was, with all the marketing, promotion, money spent, etc. And it was just flopped in every direction. And that's like the last like lingering feeling people have had. Or if people only cared about Halo, that last lingering feeling was something that just felt horrible and bad. And like people are just sad on this at the end of the day. So we do kind of realize that Starfield is going to be a good game. Because if it goes well and people enjoy Starfield, that might go and set up the precedent for the future. That might kind of almost be like a nice like mid-gen resurgence for Xbox, where people might be excited for it too. There's other games like Hellblade 2, and like, as also mentioned, Forza as well. So there's also other games that will hit some niches that will keep and maintain up Game Pass subscribers and keep gamers happy if you like to play the variety of games. But it really is going to fall to Starfield. Like, people loved Skyrim, people loved Fallout, people loved the Bethesda type style games, whether they're niche or not. And Starfield will probably be one of the biggest games of, well, quite some time, because it has so much promotion and so much weight behind its shoulders. But if it sucks, it's not going to be a good experience for pretty much anyone. That's why people keep on saying Xbox might be in trouble, because once again, if it just doesn't go and do well, then what is the actual point? And at the same time, too, as well, it's also going to be a really bad indicator for Bethesda, because Bethesda was bought out, and if they've completely slopped on 2 really big releases and failed Xbox, even though Xbox has to deal with it, they don't want to deal with the brunt and the bad media exposure, having to deal with all these really bad games at the end of the day. So Right now, the pressure is on. Like, if Xbox somehow fails on Starfield later on this year, or on their upcoming event in a few weeks, and it's all kind of flopping around and there's no real good big games released, especially throughout this year, I think Xbox might be kind of in trouble. Not, like I said, they're sort of be fine as a company, make money or whatever, but just kind of in setting up the actual console fight between the PlayStation and everything else in between, that with also the Activision deal in the limbo, may not be a good situation to be around. So give me your thoughts and comments out here too, because I want Starfield to be good. I want Xbox to be good. I want to play other games. But right now, they've kind of been slacking quite a bit. So give me your thoughts and comments. If you guys want to, make sure you guys are subscribed, notifications on, leave a like, hang out the Twitch and Twitter down below. And I appreciate you guys all so much for watching here. In the first place, check out the Amazon links too as well for your console needs.